Welcome back to the Empower Soul Path. Today, we dive into a topic that's both challenging and profound: chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, and its possible connection to unexpressed emotions. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button so you never miss our weekly empowering videos. COPD is a serious, potentially life-threatening condition that affects the lungs and airways, making breathing difficult. While there's no cure for COPD, understanding its possible links to suppressed emotions could offer a unique perspective on its development and how we might support those facing this condition. Let's start with the basics. What is COPD? Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, or COPD, is a group of lung diseases characterized by inflammation and constriction of the airways, leading to symptoms like dyspnea or trouble breathing, chronic bronchitis, and frequent respiratory infections. Unlike asthma, which causes airway constriction in response to triggers, COPD involves a more permanent or irreversible lung damage. Now, while it's well established that COPD is primarily caused by smoking and exposure to lung irritants, recent research suggests that emotional factors might play a role in its onset and progression. This might be particularly true in cases where there is no clear history of smoking or exposure to environmental toxins. With every inhale, we take in the world. With every exhale, we release. It is a rhythm of trust and flow. However, when we experience a profound threat to our existence, this rhythm is the first thing to be disrupted. Let's explore this idea further. In the darkest moments of our lives, when we feel truly hopeless, our inner dialogue can reflect despair. We might find ourselves saying things like, "Why is this happening to me?" Or, "There has to be a mistake. I don't want to die." These questions and statements, though born out of desperation, can hold the key to understanding the emotional aspect of illnesses like COPD. They point to a deep human experience, a plea for help from our spirit, a language that often goes unheard. The issue is not merely a physical one. It is a profound existential crisis. But because this call comes from a place of great vulnerability and shame, it is often mistaken for a weakness. As a result, instead of being heard and addressed, the call is frequently silenced, sometimes even by the person themselves. This is what happens when unexpressed emotions become trapped within us. When our deepest fears and worries go unspoken, they do not simply vanish. Instead, they find other ways to express themselves, often in the language of the body, a language that speaks the universal tongue of energy and vibration. The body then begins to re-experience these repressed emotions as physical sensations and imbalances. This is the essence of psychosomatic illness. The term psychosomatic often carries a negative connotation, implying that the illness is all in the person's head. However, this perspective overlooks the very real physical manifestations that result from our emotional landscape. When our inner world is filled with turmoil, our outer world, our physical reality, inevitably reflects this inner state. Here's the crux of the matter. They morph into something else: a physical symptom, an energetic blockage, or a psychological distress that can manifest in various ways. And what better way to silence the body's outcry than by prescribing medication to manage the symptoms? After all, why would a doctor ask a patient to delve into their emotional landscape when confronted with a physical ailment? The focus is understandably on treating the symptoms and getting the patient back to good health. But what if there's more to the story? It's a hard truth to swallow, but often the very conditions we seek to medicate are a form of communication from our soul, a language that has been ignored for too long. So let's examine the deeper meaning behind COPD and its possible link to unexpressed emotions. At its deepest symbolic level, COPD is a story of a profound and unresolved fear of death and suffocation. To understand this, let's look at the word COPD itself. The C stands for chronic, indicating a long-term condition. OPD refers to chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. Now let's break down the word COP further. Co means together, and P can mean father. Put together, COP can symbolize the father figure in our lives. Interestingly, COP is also slang for police, those who uphold rules and maintain order. Considering these meanings, we can see that COPD literally translates to the chronic story of the father, or more generally, a parental figure. When we were young, many of us looked up to our fathers as strong protective figures who would shield us from harm. If our fathers were absent, distant, or abusive, it left a void of safety and security. This early trauma can lead to a deep-seated fear of the world, a fear that can resurface in adulthood in the form of COPD. Think of a scenario where a child witnesses a parent struggling to breathe during an asthma attack or another respiratory illness. The child might interpret this as the parent giving up on life, abandoning them in their hour of need. As the child grows, this experience can morph into a profound fear of suffocation and death, manifesting later in life as COPD. Furthermore, the symbolism of the father figure aligns with the concept of cop as a law enforcer. Consider the times when we felt unjustly punished or misunderstood by authority figures. These experiences can leave us feeling trapped and helpless, much like the constricted state of the lungs in COPD patients. The emotion behind a COPD conflict is one of feeling utterly trapped and powerless in the face of a perceived danger. It is the physical manifestation of two desperate internal cries. I'm going through a very stressful period where I feel extremely unsafe. No one is protecting me. This creates a state of chronic hypervigilance. The body is always braced for an impact it cannot prevent, and the nervous system is locked in a fight-or-flight mode. This constant tension can deeply impact the delicate tissues of the lungs over time. A key feature of COPD is the difficulty in exhaling completely. Symbolically, this can be seen as the body's desperate physical attempt to push out the danger, to create space, or to force an escape from a situation that feels suffocating. The struggle for breath becomes a heartbreaking metaphor for the struggle to escape a terrifying reality. A powerful example of the conflict. Imagine a woman named Sarah who grew up with an alcoholic father. From an early age, she witnessed his violent mood swings and unpredictable behavior, leaving her in a constant state of fear. As an adult, Sarah develops COPD, and her doctors are puzzled by its sudden onset. There is no history of smoking or exposure to toxins. When we look at Sarah's condition through the lens of unexpressed emotions, we see a different story emerge. Sarah's childhood trauma of living with an abusive father created a deep-seated fear of suffocation and abandonment. This fear, left unresolved, manifested as COPD. Her difficulty in exhaling symbolizes her desperate attempt to escape the suffocating grip of her past. Rather, it offers a complementary emotional and spiritual understanding of the condition. By recognizing the emotional component, we can approach healing in a more holistic way. If you're interested in learning more about how your emotions can influence your health, check out my book, Emotional Chords: Healing COPD of the Spirit. Acknowledging the emotional aspect of illnesses like COPD allows us to approach healing from a more comprehensive perspective. It involves gentle self-reflection and working through the deep-seated fears and traumas that might be contributing to the condition. Practices like meditation, gentle breathwork as approved by your doctor, and therapy can help process these buried emotions. The path to healing is a unique journey for everyone. And while medical treatment is crucial for managing the physical symptoms of COPD, incorporating emotional healing practices can lead to a more complete recovery. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovery and healing. If this video resonated with you, please give it a thumbs up. Your support helps us continue creating informative and healing content. Don't forget to share it with anyone who might find value in this message. And remember, you can find more insightful content on our website and by subscribing to our channel.